For yielding.
Recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, America is a nation of laws, which means I, as the President, am obligated to enforce the law. I don't have a choice about that. That is part of my job. With the notion that I can just suspend deportations through executive order, that's just not the case. Because there are laws on the books that Congress has passed. There are enough laws on the books by Congress that are very clear in terms of how we have to enforce our immigration system, that for me to simply through executive order ignore those congressional mandates would not conform with my appropriate role as President. Those are the words of the former constitutional law professor and now President on March the 28th, 2011. Those very words condemn executive amnesty. The United States is ruled by law, not by one person. The United States is not a monarchy. If it were, we would have kept King George III. The executive amnesty is not only unconstitutional, Madam Chairman, it is at cross purposes to security. The Department of Homeland Security cannot secure the U.S. border no matter how many programs and how much money we spend on Homeland Security, as long as the executive undermines law and security by unilaterally ignoring those very security laws. We give all the money we want to the Department of Homeland Security. That doesn't do any good if we do not make sure the law is enforced. Madam Speaker, we'll use this example, has already been used by my friend Mr. Culberson. We have tax laws in this country. God knows we have too many tax laws in this country. But if the executive would have makes the decision, I'm just going to ignore these tax laws for a certain group of people, none of us would like that. The executive doesn't have that authority to just ignore law for whatever reason, even if it's a good reason, because that does not establish constitutional power of who the executive is. Now, Madam Speaker, those of us in Texas have a vested interest with Homeland Security. The United States border with Mexico is almost 2,000 miles. 60% of the border is in Texas. 45% of the entire border is in one member's district, Mr. Will Hurd. The Texas border with Mexico is the distance from New Orleans to Washington, D.C. We got a vested interest in border security and the rule of law, because failure to enforce the rule of law affects people on the border. It affects American citizens. It affects legal immigrants. Now, there's a lot been said about immigration. I'm for immigration. We do need some changes in immigration. The United States allows 1 million people a year legally to come in the United States. But when laws are enforced, there's order. When law is not enforced, there is chaos.
I yield another minute.
I thank the gentleman. When laws are not enforced, there's chaos. Especially the security laws are not enforced. So, Madam Chair, as the President said, I am obligated to enforce the law because, Madam Speaker, Madam Chairman, the Constitution is not a mere suggestion, whether the other side likes it or not, and that's just the way it is. I'll yield back.